Welcome back to the Schlocky Horror Picture Show and Silent Night Bloody Night, which is actually a rather engaging body count movie that's ahead of its time. The similarities to Black Christmas are definitely there. The mysterious phone calls, the Christmas setting, the point of view shots, and general stalk and slash mayhem. Writer-director Ted Gershony, who wrote 6 episodes of the TV show Tales from the Dark Side and 2 episodes of Monsters, dips his lid to classics like Psycho and The Old Dark House while looking forward to the splatter films of the late 70s and 80s, which makes Silent Night Bloody Night something of a turning point in the genre and even establishes some of the rules quoted in the recent Scream films. Don't have sex, don't try to hide, don't open the door, don't drink or do drugs, don't answer the phone, don't ever say you'll be right back, and watch out for falling anvils. Admittedly, the connection to Christmas is pretty thin. The guy who sets fire to himself at the beginning of the film returns home on Christmas Eve, and one character hums Silent Night. That's it. There's no killer Santa or Santa killings. In fact, there's absolutely no Santa to be found in this film at all. There are killings though. Speaking of which, this film is not to be confused with the similarly titled 1983 slasher film Silent Night, Deadly Night, which may have been deadlier, but tonight is far bloodier. Many of tonight's cast members were from Andy Warhol's factory, including Ondine, Candy Darling, Kristen Steen, Tally Brown, Lewis Love, Jack Smith and Susan Rottenberg. Mary Warrenoff, who plays Diane, was also a member of Warhol's entourage, starred in a few of his underground films, and was a go-go dancer in the Velvet Underground Exploding Plastic Inevitable shows. She then married director Ted Gershony and appeared in 3 of his films, Chemic, Sugar Cookies, and tonight's epic, Silent Night Bloody Night, which only goes to show that sleeping your way to the top may not always work out. Mary's most famous appearances include the Roger Corman films Death Race 2000, Rock and Roll High School, and its imaginatively titled sequel Rock and Roll High School Forever, but her real breakthrough role was in the 1982 cult film Eating Raoul opposite Paul Bartel, in which they chowed down on Chakotay from Star Trek Voyager. She's since had roles in numerous films including Blood Theatre, Night of the Comet, Chopping Mall, Nomads, Scenes from the Class Struggle in Beverly Hills, Dick Tracy, Where Sleeping Dogs Lie, Looney Tunes Back in Action and, most recently, All About Evil with my old girlfriend Cassandra Peterson, aka Elvira, Mistress of the Bark. Mary also made appearances in TV shows like Logan's Run, Highlander, Babylon 5, Amazing Stories, St. Elsewhere, Charlie's Angels, Murder, She Wrote, Wings, Family Matters, Buck Rogers in the 25th Century, and Mr. Belvedere. I owe her a slap in the face for that last one. Patrick O'Neill, who plays John Carter, not the one from Mars, was mostly seen in guest roles on TV, beginning in the 50s. In the early 60s, he received critical praise for his leading role on stage in the Tennessee Williams play Night of the Iguana, and the attention earned Patrick lots of film roles, but they were all rather boring. He was usually cast in action adventures like King Rat and Assignment to Kill, or in gruesome yarns like Chamber of Horrors, which is probably his best-known film, but not because of him. Chamber of Horrors was notable for using the fear flasher and the horror horn to alert viewers to nasty moments in the film. Although made for TV, the film was released theatrically because it was considered too intense. These ridiculous and extremely annoying gimmicks were added simply to increase the running time of the film. James Patterson won a Tony Award for his role in the Harold Pinter play The Birthday Party, although you wouldn't be able to tell from his performance as Jeffrey tonight. It's not entirely his fault though. Unfortunately, James passed away from cancer complicated by extreme embarrassment immediately after shooting Silent Night Bloody Night, so somebody else had to dub his dialogue. Some actors will do anything to get out of a contract. But the one name that stands out above all others in the cast is that of the late, great John Carradine. True, it's only a small role and he doesn't actually speak. That croaky voice was dubbed in later. But hey, it's John Carradine. His gaunt look landed him roles in many horror films, ranging from an extra in The Bride of Frankenstein to Dracula in The House of Frankenstein to an elderly werewolf in The Howling of Frankenstein. Early in his career, he had important roles in mainstream films, including Stagecoach of Frankenstein, The Grapes of Frankenstein, and The 10 Commandments of Frankenstein. And this wonderful actor ended up in such dubious films as Sex Kittens Go to College with Frankenstein and Billy the Kid vs. Frankenstein, neither of which won any Oscars. In later years, he appeared in Peggy Sue Got Married to Frankenstein and supplied the voice of the Great Owl in The Secret of Frankenstein before his final film, Bikini Drive-In of Frankenstein, released several years after his death. Sometimes he would appear with one or another of his three talented sons. David, Keith and Robert had 2.5 successful careers between them, as has his granddaughter Martha Plimpton, who also happens to be the cousin of the award-winning animator Bill Plimpton, even though he spells his name with a Y. I was about to go off on another tangent of Frankenstein, wasn't I? Let's get back to Silent Night, Bloody Night before I give you my entire life story. Well, I was born at a very young age, and as I got older, I got bigger. I know, it's true.